Right, we're live. We're live. We're live. We're live. We're live. We're live. Hey, guys. Old Man Chi here, back again with another stream, and it's a Sunday night live Q&A. Um, so I try and do this semi-regular anyway, where you can basically ask me um anything, I guess, regarding Manchester United or just other football teams or just things in general, So, or based on the things that I post, obviously, um, on the channel. So, if you're new to the channel and you're listening, if you're new, please like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter on at We United X. Sorry, smash the notification button. And also we've got an Instagram and Twitch page as well, Red Devil Studio. Links are all in the description. So aside from obviously asking me obviously questions, there are a couple of topics that we're going to also talk about as well. We're going to talk about the issue, and I know YouTube seems to be doing something regarding talking about what's going on in the world right now. So I will call it an issue that is obviously affecting on football. And we're going to talk about the end of football, as it were, when is football coming back. If there's obviously quite a few in the comments, we can have a debate and discussion as to how you think that this situation will be resolved, because with football being delayed, suspended, even there's a lot of talk about the Premier being voided, etc. So that's obviously one topic that we're going to really spend some time going into. Sorry, 2 seconds. Where's my? It's not. Anyway, where's it gone? I don't know. Anyway, forget me. And then obviously we'll be talking about with other things regarding Manchester United, so how it affects Manchester United. We'll be talking about Pogba, ighalo, Ollie, Sancho, and a lot of obviously key topics here. So before I want to go into the news, let's just quickly. So obviously, by all means, ask away your questions. 2 seconds, guys. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Found it. Right. Okay. So the end of football. What happens now? What happens now? Obviously, as a lot of you guys probably already know, we're having it's a crisis. It's a crisis at the end of the day. It is a crisis. Um, there's an absolute crisis going on in the world right now, and what to do? What to do? All leagues have been suspended. Obviously, Syria, Liga, just everything, and not just football, but obviously all sports. And this is something that has been unprecedented in football, so unprecedented. And does not appear to be. I mean, obviously, the Premier League have said, yes, of course, we will resume, and presumably, well, it's suspended until 3rd of April, basically. But that's kind of a minimum. That's a minimum suspension. It's not the maximum. And the reports are sort of saying that, or that rumors are sort of suggesting that like things are going to basically be pushed back beyond that, and that obviously has a lot of implications. We've obviously got Euros, Champions League, various different things that are sort of going on, which we don't really sort of know about. Obviously, the financial implications, but the most important thing, obviously, from my point of view, is that people's health and well-being is maximized regardless. That's the most important thing, not necessarily that the money that could potentially be lost, and there is going to be a lot of money that's going to be lost, notably for the economy and football clubs, etc. But there is a big debate, and we'll get into it now because obviously the Premier League, separate to the FA and UEFA and other things, there is a question as to what happens with the season now. Do you have a scenario where you have to now avoid the league? I mean, for me, the three options are, well, okay, we'll go into the three options of what I feel will be when it comes to going to Premier League. I think right off the bat, I can't see how the Champions League and the Europa League, European competition continue. No one's really mentioned that, but I generally can't see how the Champions League, Europa League will be, even after April, with the games to play, because we're still in the round of 16 for the Europa League and the round of 16 for the Champions League. Barcelona have yet to play Napoli, Juventus have yet to play, Inter Milan and so on have yet to play. So, I can't see a sort of situation where those competitions come back, because you need a coordinated response from you almost need all of Europe to be declared fine, especially the amount of traveling that comes in, stuff like that. So that, I think, means the big thing is that the Europa League and Champions League are probably going to be suspended indefinitely, possibly voided, which I guess is good news if you're a Liverpool fan, terrible news if you're an Atletico Madrid fan or PSG fan. So there you go. But when it comes to the Premier League, I think if we're looking at the options for the Premier League essentially are, they obviously continue, they void, or they stop it. Basically, those are the three options. So I'll go for the three options, and let me know in the comments what your opinions are, what your views are. But that's kind of how I see it anyway. So the first option is, okay, and why there's a problem with each option. So we'll do that. The first option is obviously that they continue it, albeit a bit delayed. That's fine. That's what a lot of people want. They want the Premier League to continue, albeit a bit delayed, maybe pushed back the Euros, push back the season, you could get rid of the maybe eliminate the transfer window, you could get rid of various things to accommodate. The big issue with any sort of delay and rescheduling of this sort of season is simply that we don't know the outcome of the current situation. We don't. And if the current situation continues until June, July, at worst, maybe even to September, then there's no way that you can realistically continue and finish off the season. There's not, not if you're going to now affect the next season and the season before that, etc. So, I hear a lot of people saying, yes, we can try and continue the season. Yes, we can try and do things. Shout out to you, Rasmus. Say thank you very much. This is our Sunday Night Live Q&A. We've got a couple of topics we're going to talk about, especially regarding the current situation, but also regarding ighalo, Pogba, Ollie, and Sancho as well. So get involved, buddy. I don't think that, and I'll also display your comments as well, actually, which is quite important. So that's the difficulty, like I said, with the difficulty of just continuing the season, is because it's an unknown thing. It's that we do not know when this is going to end. The other thing as well is, even if the season does come back, it's still not necessarily going to be the same. So you're probably going to have to think about cancelling things like the FA Cup. How, as I said, regarding the Champions League and Europa League, I think in a best case scenario, assuming everything comes back to normality around about April, Mayish time, they might play games behind closed doors, cancel FA Cup games, and will just work for the domestic scene to finish. But again, everyone's talking about Champions League football, but the reality is that other countries are affected differently. So it's kind of irrelevant if, think about Champions League football, for example, we're starting to finish, if Italy or other countries aren't able to sort themselves out. So that's what people need to think about when it comes to European football, etc. As I say, the season being stopped shouldn't be even entertained. For relegation Champions League spots, it'll be fair. Well, this is what I'm saying about specifically about the Champions League, but I get the thing about relegation, is that the problem with the idea of just pushing it back is that every country will have there almost has to be a sort of a unilateral agreement across all governments and health bodies across all of Europe. And I haven't seen that ever happen in the history of Europe, to be honest. Because let's say, for example, the cases in the UK, for example, and there are issues with that resolve. What about Italy? What about France? Or maybe they might have a different different advice to ours. So potentially, you know, if we started April, Italy may say, well, we have to start till June, and obviously, from their point of view, it will affect their Champions League points, because obviously, where the Italians going to generate their top four so even just the build up of next season Champions League is going to be affected based on the different decisions by different countries, because some countries, some countries might even just might even decide to avoid the leagues. The Austria, for example, might decide, you know what, we're going to avoid our league. And if that's the case, where do you kind of see what I'm saying? So it's very complicated. It's very complicated. The second, obviously, scenario in this case, obviously, we talked about the first now, which is just continuing, albeit delayed. The second one is just cancelling, just stopping it now. That's been a lot of things that people have been talking about just stopping the league now, so that just everything is just based on the situation now in current form. So that way, if we stopped it now, let's say look at the Premier League, Liverpool would obviously win the league. United obviously would be fifth, just outside the top four. And obviously you'd have the relegated teams. I think it'd be Bournemouth, Norwich, and Watford. I think, yeah. The difficulty with that, and obviously that has its own issues, because technically the league is not finished yet, and that's quite problematic. The other thing as well is that a lot of the Premier League clubs that be affected by this could potentially have the right to sue the Premier League, given the fact that like the season hasn't been completed yet, and if they were to get ramifications from the, i.e., relegation, obviously on football, they could be in trouble, and obviously the Premier League wouldn't want to be in that sort of situation. As I say, the rumours that Dutch researchers found an antibody. I hope it's true, but in any case, find an antibody till it becomes informed is not a fast. Exactly. No, I agree with that. And like I said, it's not even just the medical thing that talk about. A lot of it, I think, is also the economics impact as well right now, because you know a lot of places are, you know, we have even if the medical situation resolves, the reality is that there's going to be a lot of people the next couple of weeks to a month that are going to be suffering horrendously, possible job losses, businesses going out of business, etc. And so even if things were to sort of resume, suddenly you've got people that don't have jobs, that don't have money, that are going to be struggling. And so, and show your support, by the way, to this channel, because I'm going to be struggling as well. So if you can show some support, you know, hit that like button, subscribe, maybe give a cheeky super chat contribution. I'll say it out loud, you know, so because you know, old man G needs some support as well. but yeah, that, you know, that's the reality, and that's also another reality that we have to overcome as well. But yeah, like I said, the difficulty of just cancelling it like now, not voiding it, but just stopping it now, is that you likes of Bournemouth, who I think would be relegated, obviously, on with the same point difference as Aston Villa. Obviously, they weren't happy, and the Premier League teams would have, as well as most teams around Europe would have reason to sue their respective leagues. And now that could be resolved by the government, obviously, stepping in. But it would obviously be deeply unfair for so many people, so many teams, and you can kind of see the argument that people would not. But the argument for that type of situation is that at least if you do that, you say, right, season's over, competition's over, end it there. You know, you cancel your Champions League, Europa League, etc. It means that the league stops. The Euros could potentially still go ahead, or if it doesn't, things just go back to business as usual come the end of August, and that's that. Assuming obviously things, that is also again based on assumption that things obviously resolve, but that's a possibility as well. So that's point number 2. Put that out there, and obviously the point number 3, which is being talked about a lot increasingly these days, is it is whether the Premier League season should be voided. Whether the Premier League season should be voided, and I think that, you know, the word on the street is that obviously you have to discuss with other Premier League teams and stuff like that, and see what sort of happens. But the word on the street is, yeah, that it could be voided, and if there's enough votes, because there will be a lot of Premier League teams who will say, well, actually, you know what? Maybe it's not such a bad idea for it to be voided. I mean, if you look at, rather than being cancelled, if you look at, for example, the likes of Bournemouth, obviously the relegated teams, obviously the who else would be voided? Spurs, I think, would be one of them. There'd be a lot of teams that would think like, yeah, you know what, this this would be good for us. This would be good for the Premier League to be voided. I think and a lot of the mid-table teams probably wouldn't mind that much. So really, and one reason why I think this is gaining so much momentum is that aside from probably Liverpool, probably United, maybe Leicester City, and maybe likes of Sheffield United and Wolves that have done obviously beyond. Everyone else, especially the relegated sides, I don't think Chelsea would be particularly bothered. A lot of these teams would say, yeah, sure. West Ham, I think, did West Ham want to? Yeah, West Ham in particular. Spurs in particular would say, yeah, let's just start again. So you can easily see the majority of the league would certainly prefer a voided season. And I think certainly as a United fan, and looking at United and where we are, it'll be bitterly disappointing. I mean, I guess the only positive, if it was voided, was that, one, this is our worst ever season, so that wouldn't be the case. And two, we'd almost start the season with a stronger situation. That makes any sense, So it's almost like we'll be starting anew. And frankly, had results not gone our way the way it's been going, we probably would be saying, yeah, just for the season restart, because we've now got a stronger team. You know what I mean? So that's where I see things are. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys, whether you think that what you think the situation is, what you think your opinion is, so because it's complicated. It really is complicated. Rasmus say United might even want it to be voided because United were on course for the worst PLC ever. See, that's what I was thinking. They might, so, but I think there is obviously an argument that if you've obviously void this premium, I think the downside is that United probably were on course to get top four, and if you void this season, United basically play in the Europa League again next year. Everything resets. What's worse, what I actually find worse actually is that if Man City's ban goes ahead, which is possible, I mean that brings itself its own issues. But if Man City's ban goes ahead, then you have who finished fifth before the start of the season? It was Arsenal. So you could honestly just imagine if you're in a situation where the season gets voided, United have to stay in the Europa League again, and Arsenal, because of City obviously being corrupt, get into the Champions League. I mean, for goodness sake, would you be? I wouldn't be happy with that at all. I would be I'd be like, Arsenal finished 10th, and yet somehow they are now in a sort of situation where they can feasibly be in the Premier League through doing absolutely nothing. It's insane, So I would be very, 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 very frustrated if that was the case. And yeah, the thing is, unfortunately, is just that there is just no simple solution, because obviously there's a lot of stuff that we do not know about the current climate and what's going on with that. And I just don't. At the end of the day, and I guess it's the way I see it, is that there is not going to be a solution, whatever the outcome of this. There is not going to be a solution that is going to suit all parties. I don't think that's going to happen. There's not going to be a solution that is going to suit all parties, and we almost have to bear with that. You know what I mean? Rasmus would say, "Oh yeah, that Bant FC being back in the CL." They're like 10th now. you know, for them to be 10th and then for me to get to, it'd be the ultimate, you know, take mick. They'd be taking the mick if that would happen. Absolutely. I just couldn't. It just it just couldn't happen if they did that. It really couldn't. You know, I would much rather I would much rather sort of situation be. I know there's thoughts of some people saying that we could do like a mini tournament, like playoff games or stuff like that to turn positions possibly. So that's something as well that could be considered as well. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Please remember to like the video as well. Let me know what you think, what your opinion on this is. How do you feel the best solution to scenarios? Because frankly, I don't see there being an easy scenario to any of them. And I'd be interested to see what the Premier League, UEFA, FA, etc., what they obviously decide going forward. So let's just move on topic-wise, because I spent a good bit of time talking about this. And let's be a bit more positive about Ighalo, man. Ighalo, Nigerian brother, man. Ighalo. Should United sign Ighalo permanently? Now I was gonna do this in the post-match reaction to the last game where he had that amazing touch, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So good. And should we sign him permanently? Should Manchester United sign Odion Ighalo permanently? And I'm going to make a case for yes. Maybe give him like a year, 2 years to sign him from Manchester United, because, you know, I think the way that I see it, and I could be wrong, we need a player like Ighalo. Okay, we need a player like Ighalo who is perfectly happy to take. He's ready. So he's perfectly happy to take a pay cut. He's happy to play in your Europa League games, to play in your sorry, I'm trying to do two things. To play in your FA Cup games, EFL games, etc. Games against weak opposition, the way we need, you know, a good striker who can hold up our play. It's important. Erasmus, I think that's Belgian league that has a playoff end to the season. Yeah, so that's something. You know, I think that we should certainly consider regarding the whole issue of the Premier League and what's happened next. But going back to Ighalo, for me, he's proven a lot of haters wrong. Definitely, absolutely, 100%, shadow of doubt. He's proven a lot of haters wrong. He said, you know what? Yes, you might think I'm, you know, I'm not in my form. I'm 30, etc. But I love the club. I'm a United fan as a kid, and I want to prove people wrong. You know, I want to prove people wrong, and he did that. He scored, I think, what was it, four goals? I think, yes, 4 goals in no, 4 goals in 4 starts. That's it. 4 goals in 4 starts. He did. And the goals that he started scoring, they're not just all just tap-ins, but he's scoring goals that, you know, the intelligent goals that require good technique, and especially that goal against Last. You know, the touch is that he took that, frankly, you know, likes of Lukaku wouldn't be able to touch. You know, I think we need the striker. I generally think that we need this forward, and he just gives something. I mean, the best, I think, you know, if for those who watched the Manchester United game, where he where when he came on, I think the last 5 minutes, you know, where for some reason for the previous 50 minutes he weren't playing with a hold up striker. Ighalo came on, and it made a difference because suddenly someone was able to hold up the ball, and his touch, he held it, touch to Fred, who then set up for McTominay to score, was absolutely, that touch alone was sexy. It was great. It was so good. And I'm going to be the first person to think, you know, I didn't think Ighalo would be amazing. He's not like he's a world beater, but he is giving us something that we need. And it's clear that we look good with him. And it's just good that we now have a situation like now that we have a Garden Fernandes team. I'm thinking, well, wow, we actually have a bit of depth, and we could actually go on if obviously the season resumes to actually go and win the Europa League competition and push on for top 4 spot. At least that's what I think, anyway. As I'm saying, I wasn't sure, so I wasn't sure whether he would be good enough. But one thing I'm sure was that he would give this all as he's a fan. Exactly, and for me, that's the difference, because you see a lot of players, that are effectively mercenaries now. They are mercenaries. It's just about getting the next big club contract. I want to play for Real Madrid. I want to play for Barcelona, biggest club in the world. Blah 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 blah. And United in particular just seem to be a stepping stone to other things. Ighalo has shown that he is a Manchester United fan, and it just goes to show you that when you are committed to a club, when you support the club from your heart, you can make amazing performances. You can make really good performances. Where he's going to have really talented players who don't have that, and they will end up having average performances or inconsistent performances. I'm not speaking about one Paul Pogba here, but that's the case. And I think Odion Ighalo, I think at the end of the day, you can only do what's in front of you, and from what he has done, from my perspective, he deserves a contract at least. Now the question is how much it will cost. Obviously, he's on quite a lot of wages in his Chinese club. However, he's already said, I mean, he took a pay cut to come here. He's already said he's quite happy to take a pay cut to play for Manchester United. This is the thing. He is quite content to take a pay cut in order to play for Manchester United. Oops, sorry. Oh, what's that? I'm trying to do two things at once. That's the thing for me. That's to show where his heart, where his commitment is. So what do you think, guys? Maybe I'll touch a poll to this after the video. Do you think that we should sign Ighalo permanently? Because right now, I mean, he's a fan favorite as well. I think there's so many fans. He's obviously popular in Nigeria as well. You're getting a lot of Nigeria being the most populous country in Africa. That we're getting a lot of, because that is a thing. If we're looking at the financial side as well, Manchester United made a few losses this year, and if you've now signed Ighalo, who is basically an icon in Nigeria, which has one of the biggest populations in Africa, suddenly you've got a whole market of fans, of new fans coming in and saying, you know what, we want a piece of this. We want to support Manchester United, and suddenly you have a lot of Africans now becoming United fans on the jersey, etc. And in the long term, that could serve Manchester United well, So because I'm still surprised that this is not Manchester United's first Nigerian player, but United fans are passionate. Nigerian fans love their football, and I could see a lot of input, so in terms of expanding Manchester United in that area because of Ighalo, and that's possibly maybe what Ed Woodward might be thinking. If I could get them cheap. Who knows? Matteo Milan, good to see you in the chat. Really appreciate it. Thank you for dropping by. We've just been talking about, let me know your thoughts about the best situation regarding how we deal with this this crisis, with this football crisis, and what's the best way to resolve it in terms of the football leagues and the structure, etc. I'd be interested to see what your thoughts are as well. And for anyone new coming into the stream, this is chill. This isn't a show. This is technically our Sunday night live Q&A. So you feel free to ask me any questions that you want. I just have a few topics that I want to speak about, just so that the show has a bit of structure. But it is just kind of just ask whatever you want in the comments. Interact, etc. It's fine. So right now, you're just regarding Ighalo. I think, in my opinion, he's done enough. In my opinion, to warrant a new contract. He's obviously on loan, but to warrant a contract, and we should give it to him. We should give it to him. It's as simple as that, really. But like I said, let me know what you think. It's all about opinion. Some people think he's not good enough, but my question or my argument to those people, is that if we do buy a player like a Timo Werner or a good forward, they're going to want to play all the time. And if you're going to play, if you buy a Timo Werner, for example, to play up top at number 9, or even a Haaland if he was here, one of either Rashford or Martial is going to have to drop out. You're going to have to play through like a Haaland or a Timo Werner through the middle. So on the left, it's either going to be Rashford or Martial. One of those is going to drop out, and I would anticipate that it would be you'd have to rotate Martial and Rashford, and that's just not going to work. Obviously, Greenwood, as Matthew Malone said, Greenwood would definitely miss out as well. He wouldn't get any game time because you'd want to play, Martial and Rashford in those other games. So signing a forward, I think, especially a forward who wants to play all the time and be central, would be detrimental to Martial and Rashford, but also Greenwood as well. Having ighalo as the 4th forward is a good option because we've now got a guy who's quite happy to play wherever he wants to play and give us good options. So that's my opinion, and let me know what you think in the comments. But we're moving on, topic-wise, to Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba now. Should Pogba stay or go? Should Pogba stay or go? Should Pogba stay or go? That is the question. Should Pogba stay or go? We posted, obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's recent words or recent comments in the, I think it was the post-match reaction to the last game. And I posted a few videos and checked them out on the channel, where basically Paul Pogba said, not Paul Pogba, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says, so I should have shared this video on Twitter, but it is what it is. I'm far into this Q&A now, so actually, you know what I'll do? I'll share it on my post. Anyway, sorry, 2 seconds, everybody. Join our Q&A. Cool. There we go. We shared it. So yeah, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer basically said, and I quote, he's not going anywhere. Basically, just like he said last season, he's not going anywhere. Sorry. Move. Okay, back. Sorry, I'm all over the place in the stream. Just reading some comments. So I was going to say, according to one football app, he would cost us around 50 million to sign ighalo from Shanghai. 50 million is peanuts. Come on, and his weight. He's already said he'd take less wages. So if you're saying we'd sign ighalo for 15 million and say 100,000 wages, I say we do it. I say we do it because you'll see because that's still cheaper than going out and getting a Timo Werner if he wants to even come, or any other forward. So for 15 million for 100,000, what he's doing, I say we go for it. Matthew Milan, how about Alexis Sanchez? Should he leave United in the end of the season? He's at loan at Inter. Alexis Sanchez. Alexis Sanchez. One of the biggest flops, biggest expensive flops, in my opinion, in almost all of United history. Alexis Sanchez. No, he should be gone. He should be gone. He should be sold and should be gone. No doubt about that. I've got no love lost for Alexis Sanchez, to be honest. Joe Abraham, good to see you. Appreciate everyone coming, guys. If you're new, please like the video, and share the video if you can. I really appreciate it. So this whole issue that's been going around, it's tough for us YouTube channels to stay afloat to get people around. So I really appreciate it. And also let me know what content you guys want, because I'll be streaming quite a bit this week. But he said we'll be painful to miss out on CL again. It should be set on the football pitch. I agree. That's why I think that for me, what I would say would be the best thing would be that, and it's difficult because obviously you have to bear in mind that other European leagues are going to be in different situations. So Italy, how are they going to resolve it? Given that things are manic sort of there. So, but the way I would want to see it resolved would be you could have maybe almost like they have in the Championship or the Belgian league, where you've got like that gap, I think, from fourth to eighth, so fourth to eighth. And they have to do sort of playoffs to get into their things. So I think for me, that's what you would do. Aside from Liverpool, because Liverpool are already mathematically qualified for the Champions League, so they wouldn't need to go for a playoff, obviously. But for everyone else from second to about, let's say, eighth, you could do basically a situation where you have like a playoff system with eight teams, randomly drawn against each other, home and away legs, and then basically you then you do it like that. That's what I would think. Alternatively, you could take some of those teams and almost have a mini league, a mini season. So as long as the mid-table teams are happy, you could take the teams from second to seventh or eighth, have a mini league, just start everyone on zero and have everyone play each other maybe like once or twice, and then the top 3 or 4 in that mini league get the Champions League spots, Europa League spots, etc. And same thing with the relegation spots. That's a possibility as well, just saying. Pogba to stay or so back to even the topic, which is Pogba to stay or go. Before I just gonna quickly post this on Twitter. Sorry for keep your questions coming in though. This isn't a formal show. This is a Sunday night live show, so just ask as many questions you are in the comments, and I will ask whether it's football or even non-football related. This is just ask away basically. So yeah, keep them coming. I will just post this up quickly. Yep, tweet. There we go. Okay, cool. Right, we're back. Okay, so should Pogba still go? Like I said already, guys, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did effectively say, right, okay, we are Pogba is supposed to stay. As far as you're concerned, Pogba is going to stay, which obviously makes a predicament because by the time all this is said and done, Paul Pogba will be back, will be fit. And where does Paul Pogba play? Where does he play? You know what I mean? Matteo Milan, Inter have better strikers than Sanchez. They have Martino and Lukaku. That's true. They do. But I don't want Sanchez back. I don't know where he goes, but I really don't want him back at Manchester United. I really, really don't. We don't need him, and I don't want him back. Maybe he goes out on loan again to another Italian team. I've got no idea. LA United, shout out to you, bro. It's always good to see you in the comments, man. Appreciate you stopping by. One of the oldest subscribers to the channel as well. So Liverpool nil, virus hello. Well, we'll see. Obviously, Liverpool do not want the league to be voided. So that's something. So, but it would be very, very almost ironic, as it were, for Liverpool having waited so long to get a Premier League to be denied it by the season being voided. There'd be a lot of angry Scousers on the streets. I wouldn't be one of them, however. The only thing from United's point of view is that we would have potential of another season in the Europa League, which is a bit crap. Although, it is what it is, isn't it? Matteo says, yeah, Pogba should stay. Joe, do you believe in the Haaland versus Mbappe rivalry? Are the next Messi versus Ronaldo? Oh, yes, this is an interesting question. Okay, I will address that question. I will address it. Thanks for all these questions coming in. Really, really good, guys. So I think the first question addressed with Matteo saying, yeah, Pogba should stay. I do think he should stay because I think that, it gives our midfield, we now have a competitive midfield, I think. And I really do want to see a midfield with Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, and Matic, or Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, and Fred in particular. I would love to see that and just see how it worked, because the thing is, United, the creative players, for me, Manchester United's best creative players are Pogba, Fernandes, and Mata. They are the players that create. Everyone else doesn't really create, really. Maguire sort of can, somewhat. If you see his passing distribution, he can. But those are the three main creative players. And I think that when you have Pogba and Fernandes in the team, suddenly we would create a lot more chance than we have. So I definitely think he should stay. And if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's words are to go by, he will end up staying. Going back to Joel's question, which I think is a very good question, do you believe in the Haaland versus Mbappe rivalry? So it's difficult because for two reasons. Because one, people say, is it going to be Messi versus Ronaldo? It's difficult for it to be next versus Ronaldo because Messi and Ronaldo were in the same league for quite some time, which is why the rivalry developed. Because they were they essentially their rivalry put La Liga on the map. You know, that's what it did. Their rivalry put La Liga on the map, and that's why people tuned into La Liga. You got Atletico and all the rest of it. So that's what it was. It's difficult for you to have that same type of rivalry if they're both in the same league. Now, if Mbappe goes to the Bundesliga, or Haaland's not going to go to the French league, let's be real. Or you know, if you have them both come to the Premier League, I don't know. You know, so if they both go to the Liga, whatever, you know, so let's say Haaland goes to, I don't know, Barcelona and Mbappe goes to Madrid, then maybe. But I think a lot of what made the Messi Ronaldo rivalry was because they played in the same league and they played against each other and they were trying to and they achieved a lot. And right now, Haaland and Mbappe are still young, but they're playing in two teams that are, well, Dortmund, and PSG are in the Farmers League, so they're not really playing in what I would deem to be. I wouldn't say they're not big teams, but they need to push them. They need to prove themselves more, in my opinion, before I feel we get to that level, Joe. That's my opinion anyway. But let me know what you think. Also, players in MLS. See, that's what I was thinking. I think maybe they do take a leaf from the MLS system, and that we go down the line of a playoff situation to resolve some of these issues. That is definitely a possibility. I think and it's a valid possibility. United, I think we need to sell Pogba. You've been a vocal critic of selling Pogba. I've known that for a while, actually. So the question is, though, is that because Pogba hasn't played all season, and obviously now we know that probably Euro's going to be cancelled, etc., and he's not been playing. How much can you really sell Pogba for? Because I don't think you're going to find a lot of teams that are willing to spend more than 80 million, if that, for Paul Pogba, given he hasn't played and he's not going to be playing for a while. So selling him might be difficult, and United will want to make money on Pogba, given the fact he's got 2 more years on his contract. So with that being said, I see him staying just simply because I don't see any teams that are willing to offer over even 100 million for him. You know, that's just what it is. It's my opinion anyway. Another 30 years. Yes, another 30 years. Another 30 years for Liverpool, man. I think we've been more likely to win a title in that time than Liverpool winning it again. I mean, the only thing, my empathy is that if it was United, I'd be pissed. You know, I'd be very, very pissed if United win a situation. I would be. But it's not United, it's Liverpool, which makes it all the more funnier. So it's funny because Liverpool fans are blaming Trump for potentially starting World War, which might have stopped Liverpool winning it, but actually turns out to be a virus, you know? So, oh, sorry, 2 seconds, everybody. Back. Sorry about that. Just had to get a brief glass of water because my throat is killing me. Yeah. So, Matteo Milan, sorry, Fred or Matic? I think they're two different players. And I think that it depends on what you want. I think if we want to go after teams and we're not that too concerned about defending, then you can play Fred because he's tenacious. He wins the ball back. You know, if we're not too worried about protecting our defense and keeping things under control, then you play Fred. So let's say, for example, if we're playing against a Norwich, you could play Fred. with like a Pogba, Fernandes, etc. But if we need to sort of defend and provide a bit of stability in the midfield, you've got to have Matic in. So when playing against City, for example, you need to play Matic. You need to play Matic in that midfield against City, against Arsenal, against Chelsea. You need to play. You need to play in there because you need a good central defensive midfielder to play in that position. And you could see the difference. I still remember the Carabao Cup game when we got decimated when we just played Fred in that first half. Couldn't cope. Matic comes on, we're fine. And every single time we've beaten City this season, Matic has been playing. You know, he played in the second leg in the Carabao Cup. He played in both legs against when we won, when we beat United. He's crucial. So that's what I would say. United says swap Pogba for Hazard. Hazard has been at a dunk as Hazard has been at too many Dunkin' Donuts right now. That's what Hazard is doing. He's Dunkin' Donuting. That's what Hazard is now. I'm at Dunkin' Donuts. Let's just quickly move on to topic at hand, and I think this is obviously this is a topic number 3. We've got one more topic afterwards. Ollie staying or going? Ollie staying or going? Because obviously, a lot of what was contingent on Ollie staying was us getting into the Champions League. Obviously, circumstances potentially mean that might not be the case. But even if this wasn't the case, I think a lot of United fans now what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done are convinced, especially last month or so, that he should stay, that he should stay at United. And I want to let you guys, what do you guys think? Because has it been Ollie's tactical genius? Has it been a tactical masterclass? Or has it been individual brilliance and players that have turned this around? And, you know, getting a Pochettino, getting an Allegri or whoever's available, we'd still get those results. Let me know what you think, you know. So just reading some of your comments again. Joe Abraham says, would you buy a CDM or play Fred in that position? I feel Fred is a box-up midfielder, but that means he's a squad player when Pogba comes back. So I think we definitely need to buy a CDM, like a Partey for Matic. I think I agree with that. I feel that Fred is more box-to-box, and Pogba is better in that sense. For me, the reason why it's difficult to drop Fred right now is one, because of how good Fred has been this season, how good he's stepped up for us when we needed him, and how inconsistent Pogba has been. But also because Fred and Fernandes both obviously speaking Portuguese and what have you, have an understanding. And I feel that is very crucial in midfield. I think they both have an understanding, man. I think that's very, 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 very important. Let's have a look. United or to stay. Joe Abraham, thoughts on Hansi Flick rumors. Hansi Flick. I wouldn't mind him, but I just think that with what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing, and actually with football, and the fact that the Glazers are not going to want to spend a lot of money, I think that they're quite content to keep Ole just to stay. So they're there, but I can't see the Glazers sacking Ole right now. I can't. I really can't. Philly Live, is there a call-in? For this Q&A, this is really more of a Q&A like Q&A, really. There will be, though, so call-in time will be, we can get you on the Manchester United. So we're going to be doing 2 podcasts on Monday and Tuesday. 100% Manchester United and Red Devil Studio Live podcast, where I'll be able to add you to the podcast, to those as a call-in. So I will send out those invite links. If you just message me on Twitter, I will send you out the invite links to both of those, and just pop you in here. This is more just like a general Q&A for that I'm doing. I try and do on Sunday nights, but please get involved in the comments, man. I really appreciate the interaction from you guys. You're saying Dennis Zachary from Gladbach, possibly. Like I just said, I think that with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's results, though, and with the Glazers not wanting, because at the end you've got to remember he's got a contract, and if they sack him, the Glazers have to pay, money for that contract, and that we already just sacked Mourinho, and we're paying money on that contract, so we've got to bear that in mind. And the United says, Will Jones leave his pink boots in the Old Trafford Museum? banter. Phil Jones. I think we possibly might end up sending Phil Jones this summer. Phil Jones is not, because if you think about it, and I think the way that I see it with Ollie is that you only need 4 centre backs, and it's going to be Lindelof, Maguire, Bailly, and Twansibi. Those are going to be our centre backs. So I think that United are going to sell Phil Jones this summer. I think I saw rumours that Phil Jones to Newcastle, which I think Newcastle could do better, to be honest. But anyway, but he's just not good enough anymore. He's not. So, I would say that they should sell him. I don't think we need to sign any, because our defensive record for the last month and a half or so has been brilliant. I don't think we need to sign any centre backs. I don't think that's a priority. So I'm going to talk about summer signings and what you think is a priority, and that'll be our last segment. But I think generally it seems that I mean, let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Are you Ollie in or Ollie out now after what's happened, the turnaround, and now that we're obviously going from this unprecedented crisis with a prospect of the season being voided, etc. Are you Ollie in or Ollie out? Should he stay or should he go? Do you think he's done enough to stay? Ultimately, I think just given what he's done, that you can't, that you can't sack him. Box, good to see you. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. Smalling, Jones, Rowe ought to be permanently sold. So Rojo is on loan, isn't he? I think he's on loan right now. But he should be. Jones should be. Smalling, I mean, if obviously the 4 centre backs are going to be Lindelof, Maguire, Twansibi, and Bailly, then Smalling, even though I think that Smalling is reasonable, but yeah, he seems to be liking Roma, so I think we could sell Smalling to Roma. Jones needs to go away. United says United want 40 million for Jones. Hopefully, 40 million is peanuts. We can use, if we sell Jones, we can sell Jones for 40 million and use 10 million of that to sign ighalo. That's what I would do. 12 million for Jones is like getting 120 million. Joe Abraham. Yeah, I mean, who would buy him? You're thinking, but 12 million isn't that bad, I guess. And Mike Ashley is a fraud. So who knows? Buckers, Sanchez, and Lingard will be sold too. I hope so as well. And that we bring in reinforcements. Boxers Ollie in. I was always all in. You were always Ollie in. I remember, because the amount of times we had debates, you were definitely always Ollie in. My stance has been I would wait till the end of the season. Obviously, that's now no longer a potential option. So I think now you just got to think, well, he's our manager, he's our coach, and I think the big thing for me regarding Ollie is just that every signing he has made has worked. And I can't remember a manager doing that for us. Even to a certain extent with late Fergie years, when we signed, duds like Anderson and a few others, that were just duds. Every single signing Solskjaer has made has been good. Wan-Bissaka, brilliant. Harry Maguire, brilliant, improving. Bruno Fernandes, great. Daniel James got potential. He's probably one of the weakest, but he's got potential. You can see what he's going to do. And ighalo, great. Steal, work on him. So every single thing he's made, he's shown us that improvement. And if Don Ragnar was here, maybe he's listening. Don was here. Obviously, we disagree regarding the tactics and what have you. So, but I feel like I can trust Solskjaer to sign us the right players. I'm hoping that Sean Longstaff stuff was just banter, but I can trust that he will bring the right players into Manchester United. given the fact that we still probably need a right winger, a forward, unless we sign a ighalo, possibly a CDM, and that's about it, really, if you think about it. If you think about it, really, the only position we really need to strengthen is the right wing and possibly a good central defense middle. So if we got Sancho and say Thomas Partey, in fact, let's move on to it actually, because this is the last. This bit will be the last segment, and I'll read out your comments. You know, priority signings this summer, and there you see obviously Sancho. You know, to my right. Priority signings this summer because Sancho is being seen as a priority signing this summer. Book says Ollie is finally building a squad we need, which hasn't been done since Fergie. I absolutely agree. United says United need 2 players like Bruno Fernandes to buy. Books Sancho, ighalo, Sol would be great business. I don't think we'd probably get Sol. I don't think we'd be getting if Pogba stays, which is definitely a possibility. Then I don't think we'll be getting Sol or another midfielder, to be honest, because we have Matic, Tomini, Fred, Pogba, and Bruno Fernandes, give or take, a youth academy prospect like a Gomez, for example, though his contract expires at the end of the summer's and the season as well. Joe Abraham, 3 players need to challenge Sancho, Koulibaly, Partey. I think that I agree with Brooks for 100. I don't think centre back is going to be a priority position anymore. Even if we were to get Koulibaly on the cheap, your question is then who just goes out of the window? You know, we'd have to sell somebody, and after spending already 80 million on Harry Maguire, I just don't think that we would then go out to go and buy Koulibaly, especially where the money could go elsewhere. Ian says me, Sancho, Somia Werner, fair enough. There's obviously a lot of things for Sancho, obviously, as you can see here to Sancho here, but I'm going to be controversial. I'll be controversial, guys. I will be controversial, guys, and I will say that I don't think that we should sign Jadon Sancho. Yeah, I said it. I don't think we should. Well, okay. I don't think we should sign Jadon Sancho because for 2 reasons. One, because he could potentially be very expensive. Now that could change with this whole climate that we're in, but he could be very expensive. Nose blocked. The second thing is that if he is very expensive, can you see Manchester United really spending that amount of money in the summer? I think at most, because we spent 80 million on Harry Maguire, 50 million on Wan-Bissaka, so that's 130, and a 50 million. So you spent 145 million last. Sorry, guys. We spent 145 million last summer. Although we sold obviously Lukaku for 75 million, and we sold Fellaini and a few. So our net spend was actually 60 million. So we will have to, if we're going to spend 120 million, we're going to have to sell players because United Glazers, it's broke. It's the same issues. We shouldn't forget the fact that only a few months back there was a lot of Glazers out, Glazers, because of their poor investment into this club, and that is still the same. That is still true. In fact, rumors say that part of the summer budget was spent on Bruno Fernandes. So I don't think that we're going to have a lot of money to spend. And so I would rather us spend on 3 decent targets, that are affordable, than spend potentially 120, 150 million pounds on one player, in my opinion. And those targets would be, I'll come to read your comments in a second, guys. For me, right winger, I think we should go and get Adama Traore from Wolves. I don't think he'd be as expensive as Sancho, maybe at best 50 million. You get Thomas Partey as a CDM, and he's quite is 40 million, so we're now 90 million now. And then obviously you need to get a forward. If we don't sign a ighalo, then you could go. We don't. If we sign a ighalo, we don't need to sign a forward. We don't. We can delay getting a forward for ages. So the only other area maybe you could say that you want to strengthen is I don't know. I think actually just those two areas. Yeah, get a CDM and get a right winger, Thomas Partey, Adama Traore, £90 million each. Bada bing, bada boom. That's my opinion anyway. And sell obviously Lingard, Jones. You could possibly put even Pereira into that equation, but maybe hold on to him. Smalling and Sanchez, get those guys out of the club. Absolutely. Reading some of your comments, guys. Joy Abraham, Lindelof not good enough, and Bailly too injury prone. Well, we'll see about Bailly. We'll see how Solskjaer manages him, because obviously he's not playing him all the time, and so far so good for Eric Bailly. He's come back and he's not been injured again. There's also the fact that, like, with the way the Premier League season is run, you know, for any player that's out injured now, is gonna be fit by the time the football resumes. You know, any footballer is gonna be fit by the time football resumes. You know, so let's see on Bailly. Let's see how he's managed, because if Solskjaer does good squad rotation, you know, and Bailly takes care of himself, we'll see. Because while he is injury prone, I still think he's our best. I would take 10 games with an injury prone Bailly. If he gives us 10 games a season, then half of those, then 30 games with Phil Jones. Because, you know, with 30 games with Phil Jones, out of those games, we're going to get potentially 1 point a game or 0 points. With Bailly, we'll probably win most of those games because of how good he is. You know what I mean? Lindelof not good enough? I don't know. I do think the Lindelof and Maguire partnership isn't the long term. I just can't see it as a long term thing, because I feel that we need a centre back with pace, and Bailly has pace and is good on the ball, which is why I think he should be the long term centre back situation. Koulibaly is there, but it's the idea that can you justify spending money on him when we have other areas of our squad that we need to reinforce? You know, but we'll see. Joe Abraham says, again, just buy Haaland in 2 years after Ighalo's stint. That's a possibility if he's obviously still good after that. Hopefully we'll build. Is it true saying Andrew will go to Chelsea? That's possible, bro. It's possible, because United have been so bad with contracts, and he's a free agent. And if he goes to Chelsea, that's it. You know, Chelsea have been developing their young players, and Andrew Gomez is a talent. He obviously knows Jadon Sancho as well, because they play in the same under 20s, under 19s, I think, England squad. They're good friends. You'll see. Joe Evans and Sancho is the best right, but we could get where we could get. He is, although him coming will be very much dependent on Champions League football, I would assume. Books says we need 6 men for the front 3 positions. That is true. So you have Martial and Rashford over the left. That's true. You've got ighalo, James, Greenwood, and Chong. Sancho and Chong will make that front 6 have great depth. Exactly. I completely agree. For me, the way I sort of see it is that you have, I still think Greenwood should be the number 9, or be, that's where he wants to play. So he should be in that. So for me, you have Greenwood and you have Rashford and Martial in the left, and that left position. Ighalo and Greenwood in the number 9 position, although obviously Rashford and Martial could step into that situation. And then you have Daniel James and Sancho on the right. That's to me how it should work. Obviously, the thing about the front 6, there'll be a lot of interchangeability between that front 6. But I think if you add a Sancho into that, you've got something. And as you said, Chong, I think Chong, for me, Chong needs to go out on loan. He signed a new contract, and fair play. But I think for me, the best thing for Chong would be to go out on loan to a Dortmund, or to the Championship, or to someplace to get more game time. He needs games, and he needs to go out on loan. Ilya says he can't see anything in Chong. Book says Werner Sancho's Adam Corner to be great for us in the front 3. My only problem with getting Timo Werner is that he wants to play all the time, and I think that he would stunt the development of Greenwood and/or Martial and Rashford as well. There needs to be balance. But yeah, it's a difficult one. But all I know is the positive thing for me is that last season, we were thinking, oh, if you're new to the channel, by the way, like the vid, like the vid, like the vid. You can like the vid, like and subscribe and share to Red Devil Studio. Really, really appreciate it, guys. But the big thing that's so good in what Odegaard Social and a testament to what he's done, and we'll probably wrap up the stream. So I've been streaming for an hour now, and I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Maybe I should eat meals to this. Eat meals and drink pop and stuff like that. Be good. Check out our Tottenham versus United simulation, guys. By the way, I was so frustrated by the results. I really, really was. Pez was completely. It had Spurs playing like prime Barcelona against United. It was annoying. But strong to Bournemouth or Brighton would be good. Yeah. I want to see him. I want to see him coached better, though. I think I would love him to go to Germany. To be honest, to go to like a Dortmund or a Gladbach or even a Leipzig. I'd love to see that. Possibly maybe in a Leicester. Who knows? But yeah, someplace where I know he's going to get coached really well and come back and maybe make a difference, like Twansibi was, and has come back as a good centre back, although he's been injured. But yeah, guys, the positive thing ultimately is that you can see that we're not even saying that this squad doesn't need a full rebuild now. We're not even talking about rebuilds or anything like that. We're talking about one or two players that if we have in our squad, we could potentially be challenging for trophies, for cups, etc. And for me, that is very, very fascinating. That is very, very hopeful. But that potentially next season, United, with one or two key signings, could actually be challenging for the Premier League title. I believe that. I believe we get a good right winger, get another CDM, and lock down a forward, that United could be challenging for titles next season. I think Liverpool, especially after seeing how they've been, I think have peaked and will be a lot more vulnerable next season. I think City, we'll see what City has, but we've shown that we can beat them anyway. So yeah, guys, that's what I think. Massimo Milan, Lozano is going to leave Napoli. That's a good shout. Fair enough. He's a great player, but Napoli have Insigne and Mertens too. Yeah, I mean, Insigne, geez, and Mertens. Man, I'd sign those up. I agree, but this is the thing. It's just that if you sign a top forward now, they want to play all the time. And we need that rotation. We definitely need that rotation. Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this Sunday Live Q&A, this discussion. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I will be trying to do a lot more of this in a coming week because I'm off. But also, there's not going to be a lot of football, so expect a lot of Q&As and stuff like that throughout the week and just getting involved. If you're new to the channel, please like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter United. Follow us on Twitter United X. We've got our social links below. On Twitter, we're United X. Give me a follow. We're on Twitch at Red Devils Studio. And also Instagram as well, Red Devil Studio. That's 1D, by the way, not 2Ds. Red Devil Studio, all one word, on Twitch and on Instagram. Make sure to follow us as well. I'll be trying to do a lot more stuff with that. Just reading some last comments before we tune out. Man City fans are talking about a big rebuild for them. I mean, what? We're spending 200 million. I mean, they're going to be banned from the Champions League, hopefully, so we'll see. But they have, the company was a good centre back, and then they've lost him, haven't they? They've lost him. Definitely. United, Oliver 3, 4 Oliver 1. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. Ollie scored 4 Oliver this season. He really, really did. But yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for taking part like this. It's something like these Q&As only as good as the amount of people that are in the comments asking questions and getting involved. Stay tuned for a lot of content coming in. Really appreciate your ongoing support for this channel. Let me know what you want, even the feedback. I'll be posting a lot of polls in the community contact tab daily, just to from what I can see, a lot of people want top 10 United videos, so we work on some of those, like top 10 best United midfielders or top 10 best forwards, etc., or top 10 best keepers. Who knows? I'll also be doing a lot of PES and FIFA streams as well. That'll be up as well. And we'll be doing our podcast. So stay tuned for our Red Devil Studio Live podcast on Tuesday and 100% Manchester United podcast on Monday as well. Those will be going live from about 8:30 as well. Oh, sorry. Thanks again for watching, guys. Everyone stay safe. Take care, everybody, and cheers. Shout out to everyone in the comments, by the way. You guys are amazing. Take care, guys, and cheers.